Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to your F1 pit stop on a Monday night. I'm, of course, Martin the Governor Lambert. I just sit here on a Monday night for this show and just press the buttons and try and look pretty. I probably do neither correctly, let's be honest. Your true host is, of course, this man. I'm going to waste no time tonight because there's a lot to discuss. There was no race. Well, there was, but there wasn't. There's lots to discuss. You'll hear less from me. Gum infection. So more of the two aficionados of the team. Let's bring the real host in. Here he is. He's a man. He's a myth. He's a legend. He's a great bass player. And he's a man who is sure to be smiling this evening because Williams do have their first points in a long time. A podium as well. Lots to discuss on that one. But we'll try and give this show some real energy, real passion, enthusiasm. A bit more pace as well than the F1 race had this weekend. Yeah. I think I probably could have run that quicker than they drove it in the end.
It was certainly something, wasn't it? I mean, we've had rain-delayed races in the past, but at least at some point we got a race. I'm thinking back to Canada 2011, a famous Grand Prix won by Jenson Button after about 6 pit stops and being last on the grid at one point. Malaysia 2009, which was called off halfway through the race, but they actually started the race. So, yeah, that was certainly something.
I'm going to get some comments on the screen, then bring Neil in. If Neil does come in before I play his intro, that's because we're having technical difficulties this end with power. So I am very on that trigger today because I do not want to go offline before bringing at least somebody else in for you to talk to. Otherwise, you'll be sat there on your own. So
I can yell about F1 by myself for hours.
There you go. Looking forward to tonight's show, says Matt Stannard. Adam Blamplate, welcome in. Adam, good evening all. Michael Massey did not have a good weekend. Moaned about Saturday for not being safe enough. Then Sunday moaned about being too safe. Poor guy can't win. Benjamin Dow, a new name, I like it. FIL will learn a lot from this weekend's shortfall.
Yep.
Yes, but
there he
goes. People get me back to a race that never happened. Here I am. I'll bring him in, and then you two can get going because I'm having big difficulties this end. Moaning, positivity's on the way.
Wake up to the money, turn me right on. You look like you got dressed with no lights on. I Superman that spin like a cyclone. Fit check spin like a cyclone. Wake up to the money, turn me right on.
Yeah, but we're crap. We're not going to dominate any team.
Every time. I'm never going to change that.
And it continues.
It makes me laugh.
It's still right, though, isn't it?
So we thought you'd have to change that this year.
Sadly so. But it makes me laugh. Right, you two, F1, no race.
At least hopefully we've now got a goalie that can catch a cold.
Well, this is it, and we're going to be discussing that in the Talking Town show. Got a Rovers fan coming on to give us the lowdown. But look, F1 this weekend, there was no race. You got my thoughts and feelings on it. You two crack on because I may be here and I may not be here for much longer. So give it to us. How did you see it? First of all, Steve aficionado. Leave the Williams perspective out for the time being. We'll come to that in a bit. But how do you see it as a fan, first and foremost, on what happened this weekend?
If I was tuning into that for the first time as a fan, or if I'd only been watching for this season, a relative short space of time, I would have turned the TV off feeling really disappointed, because I tuned in on Sunday morning or about midday, and I was watching all the rundown as I do, and I was really looking forward to it because it is one of my, if not my all-time favorite track. The weather is always unpredictable. Obviously, you got a mixed-up grid with Bottas further back, George further forward. I was really looking forward to it, and then you do end up feeling a little bit robbed, because every 10 minutes it was saying, right, weather update in another 10 minutes, and it kept getting pushed back. So, yeah, if you were a new fan and someone said you need to watch F1 this season because it is amazing, and that was the race you chose to watch, then I do feel sorry for you.
I was really excited about it. Yeah, we've been waiting for another Grand Prix.
Yeah.
And
It left
and
a
then
bitter taste in my mouth, Neil. That's for sure.
that gets me a little bit because well, you weren't even you didn't do all the traveling. You didn't sit in the rain. All of them poor people that ended up doing all of the above.
No, that's
They
it.
weren't sat at home just thinking, "Oh, I can turn over and watch Corrie instead."
See, that's it. You might have been getting some people that are sitting there going, well, that was a waste of an afternoon. 4, 5, 6 hours, whatever it was, in front of a TV, watching cars standing still. But yeah, at least we didn't make that journey all the way to the circuit. If they were sitting out on the hills rather than undercover, they looked. I mean, the good thing to see was they were keeping themselves busy. They were keeping themselves amused. I didn't see one fan looking pissed off. They were making an event of it. If it was me, I would be frustrated, but they were
I can only imagine they had a few beers.
I think that's
making a mini festival of it.
I did see a few beers there, but yeah, it was. I don't know. It has left a bit of a sour taste in the F1 community.
What do you say to the people, Steve or Neil? On this, I'll come to you first on this one. What do you say to the people that say they started the race when they shouldn't have done, and they maybe started it to negate or lower refunds, etc.? What is your opinion on that? So I've seen that questioned over social media for over
Ryan, did you watch that little Hamilton clip I
haven't yet, I'm afraid, but I do know Hamilton was not happy, saying
no
that we've got all this weather crawl behind 2 laps behind a safety car just for the sake of points, which I feel distorts the competition. Neil, what do you think?
To add to that, he said that they started the 2-lap race in order that pretty much all the money for the sponsors and everything, then they can say there was a race. So all of the sponsors, all the pay, everything has to go ahead because the race happened. However short or ridiculous it was, basically it happened, so no one's out of pocket. And apart from the poor fans that went along and had to put up with that.
No, I agree.
But it didn't happen, Steve. It didn't.
No, there was no race. There was no race.
It's supposed to be built on competition.
Unfortunately, Hamilton did nail it when he said money talks. That's the way it's been in Formula One for many, many years. That's the way it probably always will be in Formula One. That's why you saw, I mean, less now, but you saw more and more teams having pay drivers, obviously Haas, Williams, whoever it may be. That's why F1 is going to places like Saudi Arabia. That's why the finale is in Abu Dhabi as opposed to a circuit like Brazil, which throws up good races and has an actual history and passion for the sport. Abu Dhabi is not a great circuit for a finale, Money talks, and he hit the nail on the head there. But I agree with half points being awarded, because although there wasn't a race, you do a lot of the work for the race on Saturday. And Max Verstappen was sublime on Saturday. George Russell was incredible on Saturday. So I agree. Half points is the right thing. If you have to offer points, it's got to be half points. Don't give full points for that, because that would be pathetic.
No. You've got to be happy yourself, because obviously Russell gained massively out of it. But for me, where McLaren done a bit of a schoolboy and sent Lando out first with a track that wasn't in very good condition, in circumstances that potentially shouldn't have gone ahead anyway. But yeah, Lando was looking quick, so
he would have had pole. He would have won that race.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's just how unlucky all the drivers are that had any mistakes and didn't find themselves in positions 1 to 3.
That's it. I mean, I agree with ITFC tweeting, because Russell's podium. Sorry, man. Yeah, go on.
No, I was going to ask about Tweedy. Go on.
That comment. Yeah, I agree with it, because I mean, as a Williams fan and a Russell fan, I've waited 4 years for my team to get back on the podium. 2017 was their last podium, and although it did look great and it felt great to have a Williams driver standing up there in circumstances that shouldn't have really been there, he wouldn't have got that podium if there was a race. He would have scored points, I reckon, but Lewis right behind him. there's a lot of quicker cars around him. You know,
That's
so he would
another
have
thing.
dropped right down the
We
order.
were robbed to ever find out.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen that. I mean, I tweeted before the race. I said I was both really excited and really nervous for it because I love the first lap and I hate it because when they all go into that first corner, I can't help but cringe. Bottas hasn't helped my nerves with that. But we were robbed of what could have been an amazing spectacle. When you see cars going 3, sometimes 4 wide down that long straight after Eau Rouge and Radion, is it the Kemmel Straight? You see cars going bombing down there 3 wide. It's incredible. And we were robbed of that spectacle.
But what do you think they can take away from this? What do you think the FIA can take away and maybe look to implement, bringing in the answer that one first? What can they learn and possibly do for future races?
The drivers mentioned why can't even the commentators mentioned they said, oh, it's bank holiday Monday, so let's just do it tomorrow. It's only bank holiday Monday here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Plus, you think it was mentioned that there's always 2 sets of gear, so the items for the next race are already on transit, to the next venue. But as they're all quite close together, I don't know whether they will just move them across Europe.
From the sounds of it, I think they were just moving it because you're going from Belgium to Zandvoort next, isn't it? The Dutch Grand Prix.
Yeah.
I think they're just taking all that stuff because they did say they were talking to Toto Wolff about it, and they said, "Well, realistically, could we have the race on a Monday?" And he said, "Well, basically what you said there, Neil, it's bank holiday only in England or in the UK, and also you've got to think about the marshals. They're volunteers, so Monday
they've all got work
in Belgium. They're back on their day job, so there'd be no marshals there, and you can't have a race with no marshals." So logistics, obviously you've then got to get 20 F1 cars and all of the people and all of the equipment from Spa to Zandvoort, but it's the marshals as well. So it was never impossible.
To answer Martin's question, I believe that they should have a plan set up that if in this scenario happens again, they've got a fallback where they can. It's all set up in place. They can just go, right, we're doing this.
Yeah.
But if the weather was better on the Saturday, they've got some of the best technology there is to work out what weather is about. If they can find out that it was better on a different day, why couldn't they have tried to fit in, even if it was a sprint race, on one of the other days?
That's another thing I didn't understand because you saw when I was watching it on TV, and they saw the footage of the weather over Spa and the rain on the diagram. The cloud over Spa. You could see that it wasn't clearing up, and they were still sitting there going, "No, we're waiting to see if there's a break in the weather." We can see there is not going to be a break in the weather. I mean, there's been obviously instances in the past, like Canada 2011, absolutely heaved it down. The race was delayed for hours, but there was a break in the weather. They went racing. We had a cracking Grand Prix. There was this would have been relentless because even long after, it had finished and the TV cameras were all shutting down, everyone was packing up. It was still absolutely chucking it down. It was mental, wasn't it?
Adam asked, do you think Russell could have won if the race went ahead?
Only if Max made a mistake.
Yeah, I agree with Neil. I mean, I don't know. I don't think he'd have got a podium, to be honest. He'd have given it a damn good go. He'd have got points. But, he's not going to... If Max nailed that first lap, he wasn't going to catch Max. Because Max is just insane in these conditions, as is Lewis. He wouldn't have won. It would have been great. I'd have loved it, and it would have been a genuine podium and a genuine victory. But I think George
Lewis
said after it himself, podium's a podium.
Lewis actually didn't look comfortable on Saturday, did he?
He didn't. No, that was surprising.
Both Lando and Russell, they were having the time of their lives.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Watching Lando, quickest in Q1, quickest in Q2. I was at work and we had Sky Sports on the TV, and I just saw this McLaren spinning with half its it's just watched half of McLaren spinning. Oh Christ! When you see something like that, there's always that sort of nervous. And then he saw Seb stop next to him as well to make sure he was okay. You're thinking, yeah, shit, this isn't a good one. But
Seb was annoyed, wasn't he?
yeah, he was on the radio swearing and everything. And he's the sort of driver you want to listen to, really. But it was surprising to see Lewis so not off the pace, but so unsteady, I suppose, on Saturday.
Yeah,
He didn't seem to
Mercedes
have that confidence.
made some errors with tyre choices. That
Yeah,
a lot of the teams went on full wets when they should have been on inters, and then there was choices between whether to go a fresh set of inters or reuse a set. And yeah, Mercedes just never seemed to be on the right foot when they should have been.
no.
And so they had to. I think there was a slight increase in rainfall in the second in Q2. So yeah, Mercedes had to change on to a fresh set and then had to go when the conditions were slightly worse. So and they put themselves in that scenario. And as 7-time champions, they shouldn't be.
It's not something you expect from them, is it?
No.
That is something you would expect from a team, maybe like Williams, because they've not been in that sort of position for a long time. But yeah, Matt's comment there. If there was no commercial pressure, that's it, isn't it? It's money and it's commercial pressure in Formula One. That's what keeps it going. 20 teams, all with lots of different sponsors that all want their cars out on circuit. Obviously, pressure from Formula One itself.
Yep. You think all of their main sponsors for the track and everything, every single one of them would, I guess they'd need their money back.
Yeah.
What do you think? Because did Martin say that none of the fans are actually getting a refund?
I think he did, and I would expect at least a partial refund. I mean, Fridays and Saturdays you had normally, but yeah, Sunday was a complete farce. So I'd want something back for Sunday because there's some people there that would have been only there for Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And if that was me, I'd taken time away and I'd driven to the circuits or got travel to the circuit to sit on a rainy mound for 4 or 5 hours and see nothing. Apart from the odd medical car going past or the odd water sweeper.
If you had booked a long weekend and a hotel and everything just for that.
Yeah, it's shocking. I think about because when I went to Silverstone, it was gorgeous. But if we'd have gone there and it would have been absolutely chucking it down, and after all that the race was called off, I would have been fuming. You think we've gone all this way and spent all this money for nothing. But yeah, I actually meant to say. So there's a couple of accidents as well at Eau Rouge Radion. Massive crash in the W Series on Friday with 6 cars all sort of tumbling over each other, 2 drivers taken to hospital. Luckily, all 6 drivers were okay. And then obviously you had Lando's crash on Saturday. So there's a lot of people saying that.
Were all of those after because they've resurfaced? Apparently they've had some really bad weather. They've had to. A lot of the track down at the bottom got washed away, so they had to resurface a load. And I didn't know if it's since that's happened, all of these events.
I think it is. I mean, I saw footage of the W Series crash, and it was shocking. It's probably one of the worst crashes I've seen for a while. It's one car slides off, and then it's just like a carbon copy, just cars sliding. And I know that they're actually putting gravel traps there for 2022. Because I think it's bike racing's coming to Spa, and they're putting gravel traps down at Eau Rouge Radion, which would be much better. But a lot of people are saying it's not the corner itself that's the problem; it's it's where the barriers are because it just launches the car back onto the circuit.
Mm-hmm.
So I know Antoine Hubert was sadly killed there a couple of years ago, and obviously, Lando had his crash, the W Series. Kevin Magnussen had a big smash there a few years back in a Renault. So, do you think it needs to be changed there, or?
I'm fed up of too many things being made. I know we don't want to see people have their lives shortened unnecessarily, but they're in Formula One. They're supposed to be the best. Is it really supposed to turn up with absolutely no threat to them whatsoever. That would just be boring. It's a great track. It's a great corner. I know they don't have to push as hard as they do, but they're going to because they want every tenth they can get.
Mm-hmm.
But then that's down to them. If they don't want it, don't drive.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be that element of danger, no matter where you go in Formula One, and that's always been a good part of it. I've always been in favour more of gravel traps than tarmac runoff areas because I think if you make a mistake, you should be punished for it.
Yeah.
Like somewhere like Abu Dhabi, if you run off, you've got miles of miles of tarmac either side of you, so you're never in danger really of retiring from a race. But somewhere, I mean, Monaco's different, obviously, it's your walls, but somewhere like Belgium, you've got gravel runoffs.
I know
Monza.
if you hit a gravel trap at speed at the wrong angle, it can launch the car, because we did have one season where cars hit the gravel trap and then they just launched and they were airborne until they nailed the tyre barrier.
It is, it's a sort of a double-edged sword, really. And there's been videos of, I can't remember who it was, years ago. There was I remember BMW Sauber slid sideways onto the gravel because the wheels dug in. It just barrel rolled over and over. I mean, it was Nick Heidfeld. The guy, he was fine. But I'm much more in favour of gravel traps than I am tarmac runoff areas. Yes, fair enough. Comment there from Adam. Yeah, nothing they can do.
I'll have to watch that because, you think there must be something they would be able to do, unless, well, are there trees in the way that cannot be cut down? Is there a mound that they cannot cut into? Without seeing the information, I'm none the wiser. But
yeah, let's give that a watch. Good shout. But yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky one. There's always that certain element of danger in Formula One. They've obviously removed a lot of that now by having things like the halo and and the Tech Pro barriers. It's a lot safer than it used to be, which is brilliant because, like you say, you don't want to see a driver lose their life or get seriously injured.
No.
But I like the slight element of danger to it.
Yes, well, 100%. That's what the Saturday was all about, wasn't it? It was difficult conditions, and a lot of them were loving it.
Absolutely. That's why I agree that half points is the right thing. Full points, as I said earlier, would have been definitely the wrong thing to do. But a lot of the drivers did their hard work on the Saturday. I mean, it cost Norris quite severely. But people like Max Verstappen, Daniel Ricciardo as well, George Russell, Daniel Ricciardo had unbelievable laps, and they showed brilliant talent to rise to the top and to put in fantastic laps. And I think it's good that they've had a reward for it, really. I know they say no points are won on Saturdays, but they were this time.
One thing I didn't get with McLaren is Lando destroyed that car, basically, and they had a free shot at getting new bits.
Yeah,
he's going to start from the pit lane or the back anyway, so why not throw every new part you can at it, get the penalties out the way, and then you're laughing. Yeah,
that's it, because there's still a fair few races to go this year, but whack a new ICE in there, whack a new turbo, whatever you need to do. He got, what was it, a 5-place penalty in the end?
Possibly, yeah. There was a list of everything that got replaced. I think I was told it was worded that way, that the chassis was kept, everything on it was replaced other than that, because if you had said everything was replaced, it would have been a completely different scenario.
Yeah. I mean, fair enough. Fair play to McLaren for getting that car ready, because I know they had a bit of time, obviously, between the race and quali, but that was a mess. That car was just it's basically just the monocoque. That's all that was left of that car. And also fair play to Red Bull mechanics for sorting out Perez's car on Sunday.
Rushed for that, and there was no need in the end.
Yeah, I feel so bad for them. But I mean, it was amazing my heart stopped for a few seconds when I saw Red Bull in the barrier. And I saw that it wasn't number 33, so that's fine. But I felt bad for Sergio because he usually goes quite well on those conditions. Obviously, we'd never know now. So yeah, Red Bull did a great job to get that car repaired, and also all of the stuff going on between the teams and the FIA about whether he'll be allowed back in the race. You had Red Bull clarifying all the regulations to the FIA, like it's actually Red Bull that wrote them. Mercedes are jumping in on it, saying, "No, why is he back in the race?" And the FIA is saying, "Well, actually, it's because of this." And Mercedes are moaning about it, and Red Bull are happy. And I love that.
Yeah, because
FIA team radio, brilliant.
Yeah, I know to start with he wasn't going to be allowed back in the race because he had to trail it back under his own steam.
Mm-hmm.
But as it was delayed so much, I don't know what ruling meant that he could rejoin it. But yeah, the truck picked up the car, didn't it, and brought it back to him.
Yeah, it's something because they said, because Red Bull spoke to the FIA and said, "No, we're not going to be running him." And I said, "Okay, so that's car 11, whatever, out of the race." And then they said, "Well, actually, if we get this ready, can we actually re-enter him back into the race?" And the FIA said something about no, because he had to get back to the pits with outside assistance because he couldn't get the car obviously back himself. And the Red Bull said something about no, that's only that's only right if it's in the race. That's only viable if it's in the race. And we're not in a race. There's not been a race start yet. So technically, there's a loophole, which Red Bull found, which is brilliant. And they managed to get that car sorted for no reason.
Well, they messed around and found loopholes with being able to stop the time, didn't they? Because the race, we would have been over with the 2 hours and we wouldn't even have got the silly 2-lap wonder in, would we?
No. So I think when they stopped that time, I thought, okay, we might actually get a race here. Even if it's just an hour, a half-hour sprint, something.
Yeah.
And then they said the race will be restarted at this time. We're all sitting there going, finally, we'll get some. Oh, it's going to be 2 laps behind a safety car. Okay. What is the point? Just to get half points and just say, like, yeah, we've done something.
With Adam's comment there, with obviously my comment to saying why they didn't change everything, I'd be surprised if McLaren was, because really the cap is affecting the real big teams. McLaren, I don't consider one of them teams. They've run for years with a lower budget than the likes of Ferrari, Red Bull, and Mercedes. But it's a fair comment, and it could be right. But I'd be surprised if they're running it that tight.
I do miss referring to teams like McLaren and Williams as the big teams. At one point they were the big teams.
Yeah.
I think
now they're just running, say, second and third to longest in, obviously behind Ferrari. But yeah, they're no longer the big teams, are they?
Yeah, the old guard. Yeah, they're some of the most respectable teams. But no, I think the budget cap. I think, to be honest, the team it's going to hurt least is Aston Martin, because all through the years when they were Jordan, when they were Force India, Racing Point, they've had next to no budget compared to the likes of even teams like McLaren, and Alpine, Renault, and the big guys. And they've managed to make that car so competitive by copying Mercedes. But not too much. Even like in the early Force India days, they were getting their car further and further up the grid, having a really limited budget. So
I don't know since what's his name, Stroll took over. He how many acquisitions is done and how much the working force has bloated since then, but or whether he's kept the philosophy of keep it small and make them get it right, basically work efficiently.
It's a strange thing now, because that team, I remember it from the Jordan days, and it's always been very much a small, tight-knit team, being as competitive as they can with a relatively small team compared to the ones around them. And it would be a shame if that's not the philosophy anymore. If it is a case of, right, we've got the money to spend, so we're going to hire all these new guys and expand. And I suppose in a way, if you want to be successful and you want to win, that
he has to do a little bit,
yeah. But
there is a middle ground.
Yeah, I mean, teams like Williams in the past, who were obviously they were started by one man and they became the F1 dominators with a relatively small team compared to the likes of Ferrari. But unfortunately,
the problem is, like with many things, that time has passed. No more can you find these, be a technical genius and just be a one-man band making your own car out of bits and bobs you find.
No, that's it.
What it's become now is just so far away from it.
Yeah, it's changed. Even, so I've been watching 20 odd years. The amount has changed since then. Crazy.
Yeah, which is what makes this weekend a little bit all the more baffling, because obviously it is a big money thing and it is about competition, etc. Talking of which, before we go, I don't know if you guys have been covering. I've been trying to sort this router out, but 3 points separate the leaders, Verstappen and Hamilton. How are we feeling about that? How are we seeing it play out from here on in? Steve, you brought that.
You've gone so funny again. It's brilliant listening to you tonight, Martin. It's fantastic. Yeah, basically, yeah, because I mentioned about the 3 points between the leaders now. That is awesome, because there was a fear that as soon as Hamilton got the upper hand again, he was going to run away with it, and it's just going to be yet another Hamilton-dominated second half of the championship. But I think this has kept form and kept the pendulum more towards Red Bull, and heading next to Max's home Grand Prix. What better race to really prove that you are the man who's going to take this championship?
Yeah, it's and as you've said, it is brilliant. There was another point as well, that were the teams like Alfa Romeo and Haas going to be annoyed with points being handed out the way they were, because Williams have jumped ahead even further.
I'm going to try not to look too smug. They will. Yeah, Haas and Alfa Romeo are going to be pissed off. Mainly Alfa more than Haas, because Haas realistically are not going to score points. Alfa have this year, and they could. If things fall their way, they've got the right drivers in Kimi and Giovinazzi. And Williams have now got 20 points. Obviously, double points in Hungary, double points in Belgium, or double half points. And they're now a decent haul ahead of Alfa. And this could be brilliant for Williams, because if they finish 8th place, they're going to get so much more money at the end of the year, which obviously they can just put straight back into the team. But yeah, like you say, Alfa would be mega annoyed.
How do you see the championship going, Neil, from this point?
I think it's
the people want to.
No clue what's going on.
It was like all well and dandy, and I asked you that. Fuck's sake! Every time I start talking, I get 2 black screens with big white circles in the middle, and I'm just fucking crack on. Championship, right. Neil.
Yeah, I think it's great, and how close it is now. And if I'm honest, I think from Lewis getting the little jump before the summer break, I think he's still got a little bit of momentum. And yeah, I think it's still his to lose. It's going to be tight, though.
It is going to be tight. I'm off to, I think, throw this router out the window. So if anyone's walking past my house now, you better duck. Pay money for top internet, and then look what happens. A bit of cloud, a bit of rain. It's not even thunder and lightning. Now, if it was outside and it's really, hammer and tong with thunder.
You can understand it.
He can't even get his rant out.
Can't even get the rant. While he's doing that, actually, I do want to ask us one question. It may have already been decided between Russell and Bottas who's in that Mercedes next year. Do you think this weekend will have hurt Bottas even further? Because Russell obviously qualified way up there. Mm-hmm. No, Russell qualified in second place in a car which really shouldn't be in the top 10. And although Bottas had that penalty, he was nowhere in qualifying, just couldn't get it. So this, I think,
whether what he knows is getting to him more than he's letting on.
Well, there's a cryptic post, not cryptic, but I saw something that he posted a little photo on his socials of a balcony his balcony in Monaco, looking out over the harbour. And on the table in front of him is just a piece of paper with a pen on it. It's obviously not a contract, but it's quite symbolic, and everyone's losing their mind about it and thinking, what's coming? It's obviously a contract. Is it for Mercedes? Is it not?
I did hear someone mention, well, to me, it looks that Kimi might retire, and he might be Kimi's replacement.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. As soon because they asked George yesterday about the drives, and they said, "Does it hang on decisions elsewhere?" And George sort of took his time and just said yes and walked off. And I reckon it's hinging on what Kimi does. As soon as Kimi announces his retirement, which it's going to come sooner or later, like Adam said down there, I agree. Done by Monza. I think he'll announce it in Monza, Kimi. And then it's all going to fall into place, isn't it? Bottas to Alpha, George to the Mercedes. That would be brilliant.
That would be great. Yeah, I can't wait.
So good. And Hulkenberg to Williams, please. To Albon maybe, but there's a lot of things pointing to Latifi staying at Williams for next year, which I do sort of agree with, because they're going to need a guy who knows the team from recent years, and he's getting better. Yeah,
he's also a mark that they can go off. They know what he is, where is that, and whoever they bring in is either better or worse. They know where they're going with it, which is what Haas slightly did wrong, because they've got two completely unknowns.
Yeah, they should have had Schumacher and a better known driver in that Haas. Maybe kept Magnussen on for another year. But there we go.
Did you see Martin's comment?
I didn't.
Okay, he basically said, "Lead us out."
Ah, okay, I didn't see that. Cool. We're just going to sit here in awkward silence until his room starts
like
working again. Yeah. Oh God, Adam Raganathan to Williams. If that's true, then I said I would never stop being a Williams fan, but I think that might be the final nail. I'm not having him in a Williams. Anyways, yeah. So thank you very much for watching. We've done a decent show tonight. Obviously, lots to talk about for a race that never even happened. So yeah, it was.
And thank you for all the comments we've had.
Yes, thank you for all the comments. Love it. I've got some new people popping up there, which is awesome. Matt, Fantasy F1. I'm doing okay. I've made some wholesale changes. I'm now 20th, I think, or still 20th, but I've had a better weekend. I don't know about the other guys. I've not actually checked.
Did you see his look?
I didn't. I'm guessing he's doing quite well now.
I'm on it.
I have no idea, but
let's have a look.
Pretty much all it looked was Martin with his eyebrows raising up and down.
Martin's up to 28th. I am still 20th.
Where am I?
You're 16th.
I haven't looked lately.
He's still 16th. We've still got a Napoli karting team right at the top. They're having a stormer. But there we go. Yeah. Anyways, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Do really appreciate it. So thank you for getting involved. And of course, we shall see you next Monday, because obviously we've got the Italian Grand Prix this weekend. Another one of the better events on the calendar. So
and
hopefully Ferrari can have a good race. And a sprint. Yeah, of course. Didn't even talk about that. Sprint race is back at Monza. So that's going to be strange watching that again on TV. So looking forward to that. But yeah, thank you very much. We shall see you next week at 7:15 after, hopefully, we have an Italian Grand Prix.
I wanna be with you.